We're here.
I wish I could give you this feeling. I wish I could give you this feeling. On the corner.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Corner Podcast. Kel Dansby here with the old man Andreas and Kel. Kudos to you in the Gangstar sweater.
Yes.
Everywhere this.
Yes.
You can check out the old man this week. The Porter Way Podcast with Sean Porter. Great episode. They were in here before us recording Blue Wire Studios in Las Vegas Wynn Resort and Casino. Make sure you guys check that out. Porter Way. It's okay. I'll give the homie a plug. Porter's always in here watching us, so it is great to see him really embrace us here, want to do his show from Blue Wire Studios. It was a great show. Rhapsody was in the building as well. Shout out to Rap. She is amazing. The most humble superstar you will ever meet. She doesn't consider herself a superstar. She'd probably throw something at me for saying that. But she is, and incredible, and dropped just a little bit. Not too much news, but she's working on a new album. She didn't want to give the date, but it's coming. I love that. Can't wait to hear new music from her. So shout out to Rap. Make sure you guys check that out. On our show today, we're talking boxing. Keith Thurman just fought this weekend on pay-per-view. Thurman-Barrios, Leo Santa Cruz was on that card. Shout out to Cole Bebe, who pointed out to me that this really was a card of just a bunch of people Gervonta Davis beat up. It was a Gervonta Davis highlight reel pretty much for the pay-per-view. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. I was stupid busy this week because everything was in Vegas. We're going to talk about that a little bit as well. As you guys can see, if you're watching on YouTube, which you can find every episode on YouTube, Tuesdays and Fridays every week. Every episode will drop on YouTube. So make sure you guys check that out as well. The Corner Podcast on YouTube. I got the belt on my shoulder. They're going to take this from me after the show.
They should.
But there's a belt here. We're going to have our guest who come through for the show sign it. So we have signatures here right up in the green room in Blue Wire Studios. Everyone else has basketballs, footballs, all that stuff, people to sign. They got us the belt for people to sign. Until then, though, it'll live right here on my shoulder. I feel like Chris Bay. Every time Chris Bay wins a belt, he's like the most obnoxious person with his titles. Yeah, I love that. So I'm stealing the gimmick. Shout out to Chris Bay, friend of this pod. So I'll do this entire podcast with the belt on my shoulder. For today's sake, it'll be the hot take title.
It's all yours, sir.
It'll live right here with the human hot take machine.
It is all yours.
Yes, until Cole tries to steal it, inevitably. So I brought the belt in. And he was like, I won the Corner Rumble.
He did win.
That should be my belt.
He's right.
I was like, Cole, don't make me super kick you. Like, let's not bring this logic into this. Like, he really tried to rob me of the belt. Like, it was his. It was all bad. Dre, real quick, I wanted to ask you before we dive into my super busy week, what did you do this week? Because I feel like I saw you at nothing but the fight.
I literally didn't do anything, right? What? That's a lie. On the Porter Way podcast, we talked about it because Rhapsody came to town. We went on ATVs. We rode ATVs.
Can you
we
drive
rode,
an ATV?
It was like they were slow. We were only going like 20 miles an hour. Like Sean, all right, so Sean booked this thing where me, Rap, and Big E were all supposed to be out here on the podcast talking about the ring entrance. And he wanted to make a weekend out of it. To go do some paintball, ride some ATVs. And I couldn't do the paintball. He wanted to do it Saturday morning. I got a family. I can't get away from him yesterday. But we went and rode ATVs, and Sean was like, yo, it's at the Speedway. Now, if anybody's from Vegas, Speedway is like 30 minutes outside the city a little bit. No, this thing was in another city entirely in Vegas. It was like an hour out. So we drove out there, and then we got to get on ATVs. So we drove the ATVs for like an hour.
Did you go to Moapa?
Yes.
Oh,
It was in Moapa Valley. I was like, what am I doing out here?
the golf course over there is amazing. By the
I
way.
don't care. It was so far.
You golf? You live on a golf course.
I know. Well, it's not a Badland. They closed the golf course that I lived at.
They really do?
Yeah.
What is O.J. Simpson going to do in his free time?
Find another golf course?
Yeah, he's not going to be your neighbor anymore.
No, I don't know where OJ lives, but I found out Nick Cage lives in the community next to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he's never at home because he's filming
never.
a bunch of horribly made movies.
Yeah. So that's all I really did. I mean, there wasn't really much to do for the fight week. I didn't really care. I mean, I don't want to say I didn't care about the fight, but
You went to weigh-ins, right?
I went to weigh-ins. I didn't go to the press conference. No, I'm sorry. No, I didn't go to the press conference. I was with Sean. And then that's it. And then I went to the fight yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like your weekend, if we're just being honest,
It was
probably
dry.
better than
My weekend,
every weekend is dry because you're
my
not
weekend
drinking.
was dry. Yes.
For another 2 months. So yeah, I mean, can you ride an ATV? You didn't answer that.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it was like a buggy. You know, it was fine.
oh, it's like a dune buggy.
Yeah. And Sean was upset because he thought that we were going on these stunt buggies, and I was like, "Yo, I'm not trying to die. Like, I want to be safe. I got to go home and explain to my wife why I'm dead. That's not gonna work." So we rode.
Be
and-
tough.
Yeah, Sean was just like, he was upset because Sean's like a daredevil. He went skydiving. He's talking about all these things. I don't like to do anything that gets me close to death. I'm past that part of my life.
Yeah, no.
Like
Me either.
roller coasters, like they used to be fun when I was a kid. It's like, oh, the thrill of almost dying. Now it's like there's no thrill in almost dying. It's just almost dying.
I've been scared of roller coasters my entire life.
They're not fun.
I'm going to Disneyland in 2 weeks for my dad's at Disney trip. Trademark pending. It spells dad. There's so much good merch.
You guys still drinking Four Loko?
Yes.
You're
The
ridiculous.
Four Loko pregame.
That's so sad.
Shout out to my boy Mark, who has seen like a couple of our shows from the window out here. He's trying to find the original formula for Loco,
Y'all gonna die.
but we can't figure it out. Our flight leaving Vegas at 6 a.m., flying into not even LA, I don't know, whatever thing is closer to Disney. So we get there at 7, and we bought tickets on Frontier.
Oh my God.
It was $12 round trip.
Drinking
And-
Four Loko and flying on Frontier. This is the poverty experience. Y'all enjoy
I'm
that.
not even bringing a bag. Like I'm bringing like the AAU shoestring
Oh my God.
book bag joint,
Y'all have
like
fun.
ESPN one, and whatever clothes can fit in there is what I'm wearing. But I don't even care about like changing clothes. Like it's a trip. We're going Saturday morning, coming back Sunday night. I'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Y'all have fun.
Like who needs clothes? Like maybe I live like I'm
Especially not
21
you.
and-
Who needs
Nah,
clothes? Not
like,
you.
Nah. Like I remember traveling when I was 21. I just bring the same pair of jeans I'm wearing or shorts, and I'll bring a different tee for like every day I need and a different pair of drawers. And that's it.
Yeah,
So it's like simple travel.
yeah,
I
can't
can
do that.
pack for like 6 days in my book bag like that.
That's crazy. I can't do that. Y'all have fun
Oh, you
drinking
bougie
Four
now.
Loko and flying Frontier. I made it a vow not to fly on Spirit or Frontier anymore. I don't care how cheap it is.
Yo, Spirit is a lot better now.
I don't believe you.
It is.
I don't
They've
believe
upgraded the seats.
because they didn't even recline at one point.
Still don't recline.
I'm
But
not
they're a little
flying that.
wider. Like
Nah, man.
they're not like bus seats anymore.
Nope.
It's
My lowest level flight is Southwest. That's about as low as I'll go.
oh, you real fancy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
for work, I fly Delta. I'm like,
I mean,
you
for
know,
anything.
medallion.
I gotta be.
status
I
and
gotta be
stuff, but-
comfortable.
Nah, I hop on Spirit.
I will not hop
Like
on
on a short flight,
that. No,
I'll take Spirit.
I'll fly Southwest.
Like if I go to Dallas, like I'll hop Spirit real quick.
Oh, that's not comfortable. I like to be comfortable, man. I
Do you
work
sleep on planes?
occasionally.
Oh, that's
I'm
why.
not a great sleeper on planes, but
Yeah.
when I'm awake, it's like I got my Nintendo. Like you gotta have a TV or something. The Spirit is nothing.
You have a DS
Yeah, I got my Switch, which is cool.
or yes, Switch.
I got my, but again, like I like comfort.
It's quick. I mean, I'm not
And
telling
then
you
the
to
people
fly from here to New York.
Listen, this is gonna sound mad disrespectful, but even the people that fly Spirit, I'm like,
Got to get in touch with your roots.
I'm cool.
You know,
I
those-
worked really hard to get it out of touch with some of these roots.
Nah, them kinfolk, as they say
Nah.
down south.
I didn't see
Those
too
are-
many
those are
people.
kinfolk riding Spirit.
Nah, man. Nah,
Oh, my God.
I'm bougie.
I caught a Spirit flight. Where was I going? It was like me and my wife. I don't know why we took Spirit this time because I tried to get my miles through Delta, but we took Spirit, and this one was kind of deep. So like it was like a 3-hour flight,
Oof.
and as soon as we got on the flight, we're chilling, and I'm hungry for some reason. We didn't eat. It was probably like whatever time of day it is, and someone orders a cup of noodles
On the flight?
on the flight. They got
They
a
had
little
it?
pamphlet. You can order a cup of noodles.
Nah, man.
This cup of noodles smelled up the entire flight. I guess they got a microwave
Come on.
or like a thing of tea. Smelled up the entire flight. When I tell you, it smelled so damn good. Like, like every next, you know, ding, they hit the little button, ding. Hey, yes, sir. Do you need something? Hey, what is that? Guy across from me. What is that? Oh, well, they ordered this from the pamphlet. I need 2 of those.
How much will they charge you for a cup of noodles?
$4.
Come on, man.
When I tell you 20 people ordered a cup of noodles on this flight, 19 of them were not me. You guys do the math. It was so bomb.
A cup of noodles on a Spirit flight.
I mean, it'll humble you. Like,
I mean,
that's
I ain't got that kind of humility in my life.
In that same month, I don't know. In that same month, we flew, previous to this flight too, we flew first class all the way to New York. Like free drinks to give you the warm towels. Everything's great. The meals are different and like amazing experience. I've flown first class several times now. 2 years, like my first time flying first class. I was like, I can't go back. I lied. Because that was amazing. I felt so good. I felt accomplished. It was a relaxing flight. That Spirit flight, I didn't even pay for it. This is going to sound horrible. We were a little late to the Spirit flight. Oh, we had to book it late. Something stupid. You never know. Like during the pandemic, shit was weird, right? Mm-hmm. So we just had to get somewhere. So we booked it late, and everyone boarded already. So, you know, they spaced people out and everything. But literally, we got there 10 minutes before doors closing. So I get in, we run on. And no one's behind us. Everyone's seated. So I'm like, yo, we're in like row 27. I'm walking. Row 13 is the exit row. No one's in this row. I stop. I'm like, yo, babe, we're sitting here. And we just sit. No one said anything. So we had exit row for free on Spirit and a cup of noodles.
Baller, look at you. What? Look at that. You might as well just throw money around.
If first class is here, Dre, it's a notch under.
That's a lie.
It felt almost as good.
That's a lie.
You got to try it.
I will not try it.
Not when you're flying with your daughter. Don't.
I won't do that to myself.
Even though, you know what? It'll build character for your daughter.
No, it won't.
It will.
My daughter's rotten. She has zero interest being uncomfortable. I'm not doing that to her.
She needs to experience some of these things.
And you know, I mean, you must not know my wife. That is never happening. No. We did it once, and my wife was like, never. My wife flew Spirit to Atlanta with her homegirl because it was $7 flights.
Yeah.
And she flew there. I remember she landed. It was the weekend of the Mayweather-McGregor fight. She went out of town. And she had texted me when I landed. She was like, it was $7, but she was like, I will never do this shit again.
I'm not going to lie to you. I got cursed out smooth last year because I was flying somewhere for work, Delta. Elena didn't know if she can go. She ended up being able to go like 4 days before. Like, yeah, babe, come on. The only flights available. It was Atlanta. Shakur fight. The only flights available, Spirit. Delta went up to like some stupid $800 each way. I was like, I ain't doing this. I ain't putting $1,600 on the credit card for no reason. Spirit flight was $30. I said, babe, I got you. If they left around the same time, we can go to the airport together. Same difference. Yeah, she was unhappy. I'll see you when we get back. Boy, her flight sat on the tarmac for like an hour and a half. She was supposed to leave an hour before me. She got there half an hour after me. And she is upset. Crazy turbulence, baby's crying.
Spirit.
Like, but she was on the hoodest of hood, Spirit flight. But I guess, like, depending on, like, destinations, like, I can fly Spirit to L.A. I can fly Spirit to Denver. Different type of people go to Denver, if we're just being honest.
Yeah.
You fly Spirit to Atlanta, Spirit
you
to
asking
Dallas.
for trouble. You asking for it.
Yep. My kids fly Spirit to Kansas City because it's cheap, and they're my kids. Like, what? Y'all don't need first class. Y'all don't need Delta privilege.
No, they don't.
You're going to get on whatever y'all get on. And, yeah, so I fly my kids Spirit all the time. And they don't know no better.
Clearly.
The day that they do,
it's over.
It's over. It's over. They're like, you're keeping me from this, Dad? Like, yeah, shut up. You take these bucket seats. So, yeah, I don't know how I got on this tangent. But Spirit's not that bad. They've improved. Wow. And if anyone here is flying Spirit, don't be too good for it. Buy a cup of noodles. Spend the $4.
I'm not co-signing any of that. So
No.
you can just move on.
It'll change your life. Spirit's better than Southwest, low key.
No.
Outside of like Southwest giving you a free bag,
Yeah, the 2 free bags. I mean, and
but I don't check bags no way.
see, I do. I don't go nowhere without checking the bag. I bring my Xbox and my
bring, like,
PlayStation.
4 pair of sneakers.
I bring my sneakers. I bring my Xbox. Well, Xbox is smaller now, so I bring a video game system. I got my Switch. I gotta have stuff.
Xbox does help being smaller now.
Yeah, it's nice.
I
and
can't
small.
travel nowhere with that PlayStation.
I called my hotel and I was like, "Yo, you got HDMI? Can I get to the HDMI behind the TV?"
Oh, I
have to
always
make
find
sure.
a way. I always find a way.
I stand on the desk.
Yeah.
I did in Saudi Arabia. When I was in Saudi Arabia, the hotel, they had HDMIs and it was like, well, it's kind of behind the TV. And I got there and I was like standing on the desk because they gave us those suite. We had like the 3-bedroom suites, and I was like, yo, they had the flat screen. There was like a 60-inch. I hooked it up. I never left my room.
I become MacGyver when it comes to like figuring out how to get enough space. Here at what used to be the Hard Rock, but now it's the Virgin. It's wall mounted and there's like no space. I'm peeling it off of the wall just enough to get the HDMI in.
Everywhere I go.
Play with me.
I went to London, same thing.
No.
Where's my Xbox hook up to?
Yeah, I travel with a Fire Stick everywhere.
Yeah, you
I got to watch my Ratchet television and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Shout out to you for coming around and watching Ratchet TV.
That's my wife. My wife is loving marriage, Huntsville, Alabama. She put me on this. These are like the worst,
right?
Yeah, no, OWN.
OWN. No,
These
OWN got some joints.
These are the worst husbands I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
I haven't met them. I'm watching the show. Well, my wife is telling me about it. I was like, this can't be real. And then I'm watching it, and I was like, oh, these men are horrible.
Yeah.
These are bad people.
You watch Ready to Love yet?
I watched part of the first season, and my wife is like, this is ridiculous.
Shout out to AJ Springer, Reverse Rap Pack. I tried literally for 3 months to convince him to go on the show because I saw on Facebook that they were casting DC.
Yeah, he needs to be on there.
And he refused. And then this is the DC season, and every episode I text him like, it'd be better if you were on it.
Yeah, I mean, he could have been on it, but yeah,
been on it.
My wife, like in the background, she always watches reality TV so she can work because she doesn't have to think while she watches it. But she came across this Love and Marriage Huntsville, and she's got me watching it. And I'm like, oh my god, like this dude. Spoiler alert. No, I'm not gonna spoil it. You just need to watch it.
Gotta watch it.
Gotta watch it.
There's one about like hairdressers in Alabama too. You gotta check out. It's on there. Like just go into the rabbit hole. It's beautifully horrible television.
Yeah, okay. I got better things.
But welcome to the club. We came here to talk about in the opening segment, and it's pretty quick now that we're talking about Spirit and everything else. My week was crazy busy because we had NHL All-Star Game, NFL Pro Bowl, and the fight. So I went from NFL Skills Challenge up by your crib at the baseball stadium on Wednesday, NHL Skills Challenge on Thursday, then Friday, pretty open, but we had weigh-ins. Saturday, NHL All-Star Game, fight Saturday night. And then before we recorded this, I was at the NFL Pro Bowl. So in total, I had 7 events in 5 days. So it was crazy. Moving around. Saw you at the fight briefly. I got there before the co-main, third to last fight.
Yeah.
Sat down. Wi-Fi sucked. Had to leave before the end of the Thurman fight so I can get back to my hotel and like actually use Wi-Fi. I was in and out. I saw like 4 people all weekend. I was exhausted. All that to say, I am disappointed, Dre.
At what?
We've had this show almost for 7 years.
Yes.
March 15th. 7 years for the Corner
Damn,
Podcast.
that's too long.
7 years. Our podcast is a second grader.
Wow.
Wrap your mind around that.
Older than my daughter.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we had that whole saga on air.
Yeah. We
Like of your daughter being born. Now you're 2 in the game.
about to be, yeah.
I mean, I met my wife 3 weeks after we started the podcast.
That's incredible.
So I was a single man. Episodes 1, 2, and 3, single man. Single man, Kel, if you guys want to know what that was like. It was a little crazier than it is now. I don't know if anyone goes back and listens to those early episodes, but it gets worse. I'm tame now. But when I was like, cool, we talked about this several times. NBA All-Star in Vegas. Steal a phrase that was popular then. It was a movie.
Yes, it was.
Everyone was excited. I got stories. You got stories. Everybody got stories. Craziness. Urban loitering was cultivated that weekend.
Oh, it was next. I mean, it was the
That was the height. Yes.
It was the
that was
epitome.
its zenith
Yes, it's fantastic.
of urban loitering that weekend. I saw All-Star games. I was probably going to cover it anyway for work. But I got excited for like, yo, I got to do all this work. But at least it's going to be a wild, crazy week. I can go out after. I can do whatever. The strip's going to be popped. None of that.
Nah.
None of the urban loitering. With the NHL. Okay, listen. I'll be real. I didn't expect much from the NHL.
Why would you?
crowd. But that Golden Knights games would pop off sometimes. So I was
Yeah.
like, yo, so you get all of these fan bases. NHL will add a little bit different. Like, it gives me my crowd who's into like punk rock and shit. We talked about rock the other week.
Yes.
Like, cool. It gives me my crazy people where I can drink random stuff with. I can go out and take shots of Everclear if I wanted to.
Yeah.
They're in town. If I feel in that mood,
Yeah.
I don't got to be classy. And then NFL, Pro Bowl, and NFL All-Star game. I was like, oh, so we getting Dre's crazy. We getting the whole strip crowded. On Wednesday, I was hyped at the Skills Challenge. Saw Justin Jefferson, his grill, crazy, just blinging. You see him 3 blocks away if you want. I was like, oh, yeah, they got ice in their mouth. Like, this is going to be that weekend. Weekend boring as hell.
Some NBA Summer League is more exciting than this.
Well, that's because the urban loitering and
Everybody want a ball player.
yeah, the professionals are in town.
Working girls are working.
trying to catch something, catch themselves a man.
Yeah.
They just be catching feelings and heartbreak that
Yeah.
weekend. But still,
nobody cares about the NFL Pro Bowl
why?
because it sucks.
But it was always in Hawaii. So
but it
we
still
finally get to
sucks.
experience.
I don't watch the NFL Pro Bowl. It's the one All-Star game I absolutely don't watch because what's the point?
Wasn't great. Shout out to Max Crosby from the Raiders, though, who Blue Wire Network, fellow podcaster, starting in a couple weeks, who won MVP. That was cool. Outside of that,
Who cares? There's nothing on the line. Nobody's really going
Yeah.
all. It's not like the NBA All-Star game.
it's too friendly.
It's football. Like half speed hitting people and
R.I.P.
Break-
Sean Taylor, greatest Pro Bowl highlight of all time.
yes, but the Pro Bowl is pointless. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the Pro Bowl.
But I didn't even care about the game.
Nobody
I
cares
wanted
about
the
the game.
season. I mean,
Nah,
not
nobody
the
wants to
the
come
city.
Nobody cares. It's not NBA All-Star Weekend is the Freaknik of All-Star games. Nobody cares about the Major League Baseball All-Star game. Nobody cares about the NHL. Nobody cares about the NFL Pro Bowl. Nobody cares about any of these things. There's 2 things that matter to black people. NBA All-Star game, and it was a Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather fights.
That is so accurate. It's the Freaknik of
It's the
All-Star
Freaknik.
games.
Yes, I was at Morehouse the last year of Freaknik.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anything like it. And that's when I went, I remember going and I was like, wow, this is crazy. And like the cast that were older than me was like, yeah, this ain't what it used to be. And I was like, really?
Homie got kicked by a horse.
Yes, I saw somebody get kicked in the chest by a horse. Like that was Freaknik in Atlanta. But so when I went to, I've been to Tyson fights, Mayweather fights, NBA All-Star Weekend in Vegas was ratchet. It was like I've said it before. There was a deliberate and ever-present cloud of weed smoke just hovering the strip.
Before it was legal.
People were scared. People were like, you couldn't go. They wouldn't let you in the casinos without a key. I went to a Playboy Mansion party. I did a lot of wild stuff that week.
I believe this.
It was nuts, absolutely nuts. Shake from Two Dope Boys was with us because we did our Hip Hop DX show that week. That was the second show I ever promoted. First one was the Little Brother show.
I was 19. I didn't get to go to none of that.
Yeah,
shit.
so we did that show. I remember the owner of Hip Hop DX rode his Jeep until like the wheels like literally fell off. Like his truck just said, "Poof," and the wheels came off, and it was like, they rode my wheels until they came off. So it was the most. You'll never get that experience out of the Pro Bowl. Nobody cares. Black
Then
people,
they need to just keep it in Hawaii. I'd
Yeah,
rather
I don't need
travel
it here.
to Hawaii for work.
I don't need to hear.
Just relax.
Nobody cares. Black people don't care. Black people care about the NBA All-Star game.
Make this a thing,
What?
like the Pro Bowl.
They
There's-
can't.
There's a better environment around WrestleMania for black folks because we have Wale
Yes.
Mania, we have GCW. Like, that's fun.
Yeah, this
town
isn't
turns
fun.
up.
Nobody cares. Dog, nobody cares. The Pro Bowl is not a
No
game that people
wrestling
watch.
has that. Yeah.
Nobody wakes up and is like, ooh, it's the Pro Bowl this weekend. I want to watch somebody break 3 90-yard touchdown passes where the cornerback just lets them go by. Like, nobody cares. NBA, there's at least you have the dunk contest, and obviously NBA players are more visible than anybody
That's
else.
the key. The helmets hurt.
Yeah, you take the helmets off, like you know who LeBron is, you know who would have it. NFL, like Justin Jefferson, you know how many people know what he looks like?
Outside of the grill, you couldn't pinpoint on me.
Debo Samuel. Debo Samuel could probably walk through this casino right now.
Oh, hands down.
And people be like, I don't know who that is.
No, he's taller than I thought.
Yeah.
I thought he was a small dude.
Beast.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill is tiny. Freak of nature.
But that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And NBA All-Star Weekend, and they party, and this NBA is the culture of the league.
They throw sponsored parties, like you said. Like
Yes.
places come out. All that to say, we need another NBA All-Star in Vegas.
I don't know, man. I won't be at that. Listen, man.
You lying.
I'm washed. I can't
Somebody
do that.
gonna get you out.
Nah,
Some type of party.
maybe.
Shout out to Blue Wire. I'm sure we partying in here. Somebody's podcast.
I mean,
coming in. I'm
look.
crashing the blue. I'm just in the green room. I don't even care. Like, listen, until Cole kicks me out, I would be in the green room. I'm doing everything that I can for free for an NBA All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you might catch me, but there's no way. There's no.
I'm wearing you down now. You went from no way I'm outside to you might catch me.
If it's profitable,
one or two events.
If it's profitable, I'll be out in the streets.
Somebody
if it
got
ain't,
a table. Sport news ain't getting a table.
probably.
I'm just saying. Yep. See?
Probably. Like sport news, yeah, we'll probably do something. if it were to happen, yeah.
Yeah. So like, I need that again.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think Vegas wants it again.
Vegas wants it. Vegas
No.
wants everything now.
I don't think Vegas wants
Everything.
Vegas. The NBA All-Star Weekend almost ruined Las Vegas.
It was more than they could chew.
Yeah,
Like they were in for it. But again, honestly, this was 2008.
NBA, I think it was 07.
07. I was 19. 07.
Yeah.
This was before Floyd really became Money May,
Yeah.
Ratchet,
Yeah.
urban loitering Floyd.
Mhm.
They're kind of more prepared for this now.
Nah, they're not. Because like Floyd Mayweather fights are really confined to the MGM.
No,
NBA
Mayweather Pacquiao was
I mean, but that was like the biggest fight ever.
yeah,
right?
but they've had
But,
something since. They had nothing like that before.
but I'm saying NBA All-Star Weekend starts at Circus Circus and ends at Mandalay Bay.
Nothing starts at Circus Circus.
No, I'm telling you, NBA All-Star Weekend people, it was like if you like downtown,
If you partying at Circus Circus,
Hey, they party-
you in a world of hurt. And I
telling
take
you.
spirit, and I'm
They're-
judging you.
I'm telling you, there was so much like NBA All-Star Weekend I was like, yo, I'm scared. I was like, I can't believe I went to Diddy have every rapper, every celebrity had parties. It was I don't know if Vegas hated it because the casinos, there were fights everywhere. They don't want that again out here. I mean, I'm not saying that they won't do it, but it could happen. We'll see.
You promoted a show.
I did.
Last
My
time.
second show. That was my well,
It was
no.
a little brother show.
It was a little
When
brother.
you had to pick up Lupe.
So that was my second Little Brother show. My
Oh,
first
okay.
Little Brother show was during Magic Convention. That was the other thing. NBA All-Star Weekend was the same weekend as the Magic Convention, which is when
Oh.
Magic was at its peak. So like
Yeah.
Russell Simmons had like all that stuff was here. So you put those two things together, it was a combustible element. My
Yeah.
first show,
They got to pair with AVN too.
yeah,
They
my-
bring it back. Like
Oof.
you got to do the same weekend as AVN. Like Brian Pumper everywhere. I need to see him ringside everything.
my first show was Magic Convention. It was a Little Brother show. It was at a restaurant. That was an experience. It was the first show I ever promoted. But that the
Second, you promoted a Jay-Z show.
kinda. I was like the
church
youth
group.
group. It was not church.
Church, youth
No,
group, whatever.
youth group,
Black
but-
leaders of Vegas. I
But
don't
yeah,
know.
we brought Jay-Z out here, but it wasn't like I didn't book it and pay for it and all. That was like
Oh.
a youth group. Like that was the first show that I booked, that I put together, that I promoted, that I made the flyers. Like I did all the work for the Little Brother show, and that was an experience that we can talk about.
What was harder, that or the Lupe second little brother one? You had to pick Lupe from the airport.
I didn't pick up Lupe. I picked up Fonte.
Oh, okay.
I picked up Little Brother. Shake picked up Lupe.
Oh, that's bad. I don't know how you get that combo. Their
Well-
beef wasn't until later.
No, the beef was after this.
Oh,
Yeah, Shake and Lupe fell
Okay.
out after that show.
okay. So they were still
Lupe didn't know who Shake was.
Okay.
Because Shake, we were still at DX. But the first show was by far the hardest because it was something that I've never done before. And it was trying to get people out, didn't understand like lines and tickets. And like Magic people that have badges, they don't want to pay to get in anything. And we were trying to charge to recoup some money. It was hard. The Hip Hop DX, Lupe, Little Brother, NBA All-Star Weekend show, we had sponsors. I didn't come out a dime. We had that bought and paid for, and we sold out. Like that was just a big deal. The first show, that was an experience. I learned a tough lesson that show.
Oh, that's every show. I mean, we've done wrestling with stereotypes, and it's such a smaller, like, scale. Like, I couldn't picture doing something that's not niche. Like, hip-hop's not niche.
Nah, that
And that's a hip-hop weekend.
yeah. It was the phone calls I was getting for the NBA All-Star Weekend show. Like, everybody came to that show. Like,
People try to get in that didn't get in? Like, homies?
Yeah.
Did, like, homies hit you up? Like, yo.
Oh, a lot of people.
Like, yo, I know you since
Yeah,
Crack
yeah.
Alley, Valley High School.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you ain't letting
yeah.
me in.
Like, even, like, so we're going to have a guest today. My college buddy, Logan Gaskill, who's known me longer than most people.
Is he one of the light skins? The crew?
Nah, he's not part of that crew.
Oh,
He went to Morehouse with me. And
Yeah. I thought you.
No, me, Ramon, and Sean,
different.
they went to Clark.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Gotcha.
Logan's like my ride or die because he was there when I ain't had nothing, like literally nothing in Morehouse. Like when I was hungry every day, like we were hungry every day. I mean, we drank a bottle of Bacardi in like one sitting and didn't have any food over a game of Tunk for shots, and we'll tell that story. We were poor.
I must ask him what is Tunk.
Oh my God, we'll talk about that. Yeah. But he's my dog, but he helped me with that first show, and he actually worked the door. And the best thing about him, and he'll tell you this when he comes in, he doesn't know anybody, and he doesn't care. So like Special K and Teddy Ted came to the door, and they said who they were, and Logan was like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah,
And I don't think he let him in. He'll tell that story. Like it was a whole bunch of people. He's like,
He's the best.
He's the
And
best.
worst doorman ever.
He's the best because
He's the best if you're running it.
Yeah.
He is the absolute worst if you're trying to get in. Because you can't even name drop on
No,
him.
it don't work. It never worked. It doesn't work. But he helped me do my first show. He helped me with some money too. He did a lot, and so he's been there since day one. But so we'll tell that story, and I'm sure he's got some embarrassing stories about me to tell as well.
All right, we're gonna bring him here in a second so we can get like those stories. But real quick, before we bring him in, hypothetically, NBA All-Star comes back 2023. I don't know where it is this year. Say 2023. Like, yo, we're bringing it to Vegas. And you're not doing this, you're old, you got gray in the beards, got another baby on the way. But they said, Dre, you can talk to this shit all the time. I can't even say like you wouldn't be able to do it. Dre, could you book a show, a music show? People hit you up because they know you know the music people all the time. Dre, we're going to give you a nice sum of money.
Oh,
this
yeah.
This is how every conversation starts with Dre.
Yep.
You know what? How much you pay? Dre, we're going to give you a nice sum of money to book a show here in Vegas. Who you getting? 3 acts.
I mean, but see, I can't just do it like right now because it depends on who's hot, who's doing something.
I mean, you booked a Little Brother show.
Yeah,
like, that wasn't like...
Well, no, they had like an album.
All-Star weekend crowd. Like, you ain't booked 2 Chainz.
Nah, I mean...
I don't even know. Jeezy? I don't know who was hot.
I don't know who I booked. I mean, if it was like next year, you know, I mean, maybe it's Schoolboy Q, maybe it's Kendrick, maybe it's Cole, maybe it's Rhapsody. Rhapsody got an album coming out.
Rhapsody Cole JID would be a great show.
It would. And it's all Carolinas, too.
Yeah,
They're all from Carolina. You know, maybe it could be.
Spitball. Lamar, you get LaMelo in the house.
There's a lot. But if you give me a nice sum of money, I'm putting together a show.
Together something. You would do it again. How about that?
I'd do it again.
Lineup. You would do it again.
I could do it. It's not that hard. Like for me, it's like it's a few phone calls to get people out here. Like I did it when I didn't have nothing. You think I couldn't do it now? I can do it now. It's easy work.
I guess that's the key. Because you're like, yo, I did this when I had nothing and I just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
You at a hip hop site?
Yeah, it was a hip hop site when I did my first show.
I mean, I guess that helps.
It helped. I mean, it helped, but it still wasn't like I was just starting. I was only like a year into my journalism.
You're not
career
like
now,
Dre airing out BET Dre.
Nah, now it's like I call people like, you know, last week Rhapsody read my stuff before she got on. So it's like I know people that have known me longer than I've actually known them. So it's like you give me some money to put together a show, I'm gonna put together a show. Just like I'm gonna put together a ring entrance. It's gonna be something. That's one skill that I know that I have that other people don't. I know I can put together something that other people can't do because my hands are in different parts of different industries.
Yeah, man. Shout out to you. Booked like 26 guests out of the 30 on the Corner Rumble.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, yeah, people just keep calling me and saying yes. I didn't expect him to
I
say
didn't.
yes.
I never do. I never do until people be like, of course. Like, like Sean Waltman. I was just like, yo, Sean, I know you're busy. And he was like, absolutely. And he called me after the show and he was like, get me on the show for more. I'd like to talk more with you guys.
Yeah, we got to talk Sean. We got to talk to Lance Storm.
He's at Impact
Shout
now.
out to Lance Storm, who completely no-sold that info when we were talking to him the entire time.
I love Lance.
I saw it on Twitter. I was like, hey, there's something. That's a great place for Lance. Knowing everything we know about Lance and the equality, what he pushes for, what he tries to do. I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a fit.
It's his home.
Yeah, so let's hit our break. When we come back, bring our guest on.
Oh, my God. I've never had a guest who's known me as intimately as Logan does.
I can't wait.
Logan might be scary.
Bringing Logan into the studio. And then we'll wrap up by talking about the Keith Thurman fight, Clarissa Shields, Chris Eubanks, like a ton of stuff. And I've been trying this real quick before I go to break. Chris Eubank. I do what my pet peeve is when people say Joe Buttons.
Oh, God.
Chris Eubank. There's no S.
Don't pluralize.
Yes, his fight this weekend as well. So we'll talk about all of that. Don't go anywhere. Be right back after this. All right, everybody, we are back. Just like we told you before break, man, it's not often we get a blast from the past from the old man.
Yeah.
Andreas Kel. And we have Logan in the building. Shout out to the highlighter sweatshirt he got on. Looking great right now. We were talking about All-Star Weekend.
Yeah.
We're talking about this All-Star Weekend. You're in town for the All-Star games, everything.
Pro
seeing
Bowl,
Pro Bowl, everything. We were talking about how it was very tame. Because I told Dre, I was 19, NBA All-Star Weekend.
Yeah.
I hear All-Star games coming. I hear Pro Bowls coming, NHL All-Star.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready. This is going to be my experience.
Right.
Working for ESPN. I'm covering both. I'm on the strip. Oh, I'm ready. We're going to have fun.
Yeah.
Nothing. Whack compared.
There was no ability to duplicate the first NBA All-Star Weekend in Vegas.
If it comes back, you don't think it'll be bigger?
I don't think it can. So first of all, it was All-Star Weekend. It was Lunar New Year. So you had this like fascinating mix of like black NBA people. I'm being kind as I say that. And then just a bunch of like Lunar New Year Chinese. Like, so it was this very disparate, like, lines at every taxi line was like an hour. You couldn't, this is pre-Uber, right?
Yep.
So like you couldn't even really get anywhere. So
you said it was Magic Convention?
Yes.
Magic
Convention was the weekend. Yes.
It was this like perfect storm. We had so much. So I was in grad school at the time. And I had one homeboy that was like kind of NBA adjacent, and then just one of my homeboys. And we just was like in the clubs partying all night. And it was beautiful, man. I was trying to get my partner to come with me. He was like a 6'4", played in college basketball dude. I was like trying to get him to come so I could just pretend he was in the NBA currently and just win all weekend.
That's the wave.
We was all over the place. We was at the Players Association party, which was like all the NBA players. Like Shaq. I remember that was the first time I met Shaq. Just enormous, right? Like I turned around and he just was there, and I had to like look straight up to speak. We was at Body English, which doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, R.I.P. Body
English. At Hard Rock.
Yep. That doesn't exist anymore.
Hard
Right, because it's Virgin.
But
Hard Rock about to. So I'm staying at the Mirage. They about to tear it down and build like the guitar joint like they got down in Tampa.
Yep.
It was a cool weekend, man. Like it was. At the time, I had only been. So I've known Dre since 97, 98.
Yep.
And so I would come to see him. We were like mostly off the strip. Like Dre would do. That's back when he was like promoting a couple little concerts here and there. We could talk about, if you want to embarrass Dre, we could talk about that too.
You're the only person that can do this. Here's the thing. Everybody that we've talked to, most people know me as I am now.
Yeah.
Because like I've been in my career is like 2 decades now, and people's like, oh yeah, hip hop DX, hip hop site.
They know golf course Dre.
Yeah, they know Jiggy.
Wait a minute.
Big ass crib in Jersey Dre.
That guy.
Yeah.
Like
that guy.
I need to know again. I need to know like fresh out of Valley High School, got the curl.
Yes.
I had hair when I met Logan.
So there was a whole crew of them dudes. I didn't know them back then, but I'm gonna talk. I ain't gonna speak about high school Dre because I didn't know him then.
Nah,
No, but like college,
Morehouse.
like,
College. So we went to Morehouse. So here's a true story. So me and Dre lived on the same dorm. I mean, in the same dorm, on the same floor. The whole first semester, we didn't speak to each other because we was both like, yo, who is this dude? Like, he ain't speaking to me, I ain't speaking. We both had that kind of like Northeast attitude type stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I thought it was like, yo, there can only be one light-skinned dude.
Well, let's be
running
clear.
shit around here.
Highlander,
Like,
there can only be one. Let's be clear. So I didn't notice it, but Dre's half Italian. I'm half Italian. You know, but at the time we didn't notice. So my second semester, we had like a dorm step show. And whoever was like, yeah, Dre's the captain. And me, I'm from Boston.
Yeah, watch.
I'm from Boston. I'm like an asshole. I can't help it. I was like, yo, who's this dude? Get him out of here. And he looked and just like, and then we were both like, oh, we recognized like the asshole levels that we both had, and we just been cool ever since.
oh, that's the Kanye joint,
It
right?
was-
It was like Kanye Dame Dash, man.
yeah,
It was game recognized game real quick, and then we've been tight ever since. And the thing is that I didn't have too many. I had a few friends in Morehouse, but it's like he's the only one that stuck around. That's what my wife said. My wife says this all the time. I can't get rid of Logan. I can't.
She done canceled a lot of people, man. But like Dre, I was in Dre wedding. So here's a
He was,
story.
he was on
Dre.
the cruise. He was on the boat with us.
Dre was living off campus at Morehouse and got robbed. Like you got like robbed like 3 times in
Yeah.
one semester.
Yeah.
You know, like real story. Like he was walking to the train station, got robbed. His crib, they like kicked in the window, got robbed.
Yeah, I
And
got
I
my
don't know
car
if you
stolen.
remember this. My roommate and this other dude was cool with Dre. Well, no, you were staying with Art.
Yes.
And Art and this other dude, my roommate, were in my room talking trash about him. And I was like, hey, man, I don't care if you like him, but you ain't finna talk about him in front of me. And I had my back to him. I was sitting at my desk, like old college dorm type stuff. And I was like, these dudes about to jump me. Because I was like not letting them talk about, so I whatever, like, when I got a couple of my partners, we came back, they were gone. But like, I was just like, I'm just not going to let them get down. Because I know all the Dre's background. I ain't going to spill all his business. But I know everything about his background. I know the family. I know his grandma. Like, I know everybody. And that's my man since
tells a good amount of it on this show.
forever. Like, whatever he's told,
Yeah,
I know about it. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
He knows that and then some because I'm very private with my
Of
life.
course.
But he's been there for a lot of this, like a lot of stuff that I've went through. Like a lot of people don't know all the times I got robbed in college. I was like, damn, man, and I had to
You
leave
mentioned
college.
it in passion.
Yeah,
In
people,
passing.
even people that say, you graduate from where I was like, no.
No.
What's your degree in? School of Hard Knocks, bitch.
Yeah.
Like it was what it was, and but he's been there he was in my wedding on the boat. We got stories about that. We're not gonna tell.
We ain't gonna talk about it because those are about me. We telling stories about Dre. We're not telling stories about Logan today.
I've heard those off air.
Let's keep those off air.
shout out to you.
I'm just saying,
Shout
I have
out
a
to you,
good
Logan.
time, even
Shout
when
out
I
to you.
shouldn't have a good time.
Yeah,
It's basically
yeah.
the story
What a
behind
time.
that.
What a time.
But yeah, I don't even know how we got to all that. But yeah, All-Star Weekend, NBA All-Star. I don't think you can duplicate that, man. Because it was the first, and everybody was here. All the hip hop artists, all the ball players from every sport. Like,
I feel like they're all coming back
Nah,
out.
man. No.
Like, I feel like Floyd fights
so I used to live here.
have set the standard, and now people are used to it. Because before, people were like, yo, I'm going to Vegas. Like, for what? Like, if you weren't a diehard, if you weren't alive and popping, like 95, 94, the Tyson era, if you weren't alive and popping then, people were like, what am I going to Vegas for?
Right.
That's old people gambling. That's, like the old Tyson fight, but by then those people are 40, 45. They might be washed.
That's when like people are coming here to like go to New York and circus with their kids.
So it's like, that was the first wave of again of like 20-year-old grad school.
Yeah.
When you're like 20, 23, 24, 25, and through like 35. And you're like, oh, All-Star Weekend. You can get pop. The music people are out here.
Right.
And you'd be like, oh, man, yeah, well, it can't happen again. It's 18 years ago.
But
Kids were 5 who are now your age then.
Old enough to get into the clubs.
Yeah, when
and
your
get
age
popping.
then,
Yeah.
if those
That's
people
fair.
try to be, they're 5. They've
bro,
never experienced that. They got their own
No.
show.
Listen. The novelty of the NBA All-Star Weekend happening in Vegas when the Magic Convention was popping, because the Magic Convention is not a thing anymore.
No.
So you had Lunar New Year, Magic Convention, NBA All-Star Weekend in a city that didn't have an NBA team, that people wanted to come to. No social media, no camera phones, nothing else to take away your attention. So when you were here, you were here.
That's
So
the key. Social media.
camera,
No
like none
social
of that.
media is the key.
Every club, bottle prices was what they are today that weekend back in 07.
Yes.
Like you couldn't get in without at least a couple racks. Like it was. I used to live here. I've seen Mayweather fights. When Mayweather fought Shane Mosley, I was here for that. It was not even close to All-Star Weekend.
There's levels to this.
Mayweather Pacquiao would be my only comparison.
I wasn't here for Mayweather Pacquiao.
That show's nuts.
But
I'm sure it was, but I don't think it was.
I had a table for $4,000. Old man went home. He went to sleep.
I was over.
I was like, yo.
Oh,
Dre goes home every night. Come on, man.
I was like, yo, we got a table. Marquee.
I've done that.
We got a table.
I moved to Vegas the weekend Marquee opened. I was living at Planet Hollywood.
Yo, and this guy pump faked me. I was like, yo. So early in the week,
Sounds right.
He's like, yo, nah, I'm not doing it. As the week goes on, yeah. All right, cool. Like, let me know. All right, we'll walk over there, after the fight.
Yeah.
And then he was like, all right, I'm going to stay for the post-fight press conference. I ain't staying for no press conference. I don't care.
Right.
I walk across the street because that night it was so crazy. There's a line, even if you got the table.
Yeah.
So I'm standing in the line, waiting to get checked in for the table.
Dre at the house.
I'm at the
20
crib. I
minutes
was
later,
later.
he's like, yo, now I'm going,
Yo,
what?
well,
And it was 3 of us. A $4,000 table. 3 of us.
Dog,
Ended up being for 2 of us.
I've done it. I've been there. I've done it. But here's the thing. Mayweather Pacquiao, again, was confined to, it was MGM and kind of bled out. NBA also, you didn't have to be a sports fan. Like, NBA All-Star Weekend, and I said this in our last segment, it started at maybe Mandalay Bay, but it went all the way downtown.
The Players Association joint, I think, was at Mandalay Bay. And Hard Rock, everywhere was. I don't even. I stayed with you that.
Yeah, you stayed at my house.
But you was living like up north.
I was in Eliante when it was just developed.
Right. That was, first of all, that's a ridiculous drive. So we in
Yo,
the spot.
stupid drive.
Yeah.
We in the spot. I got me and my man with me, and we got a whole bottle of Grey Goose. He got a sports coat. He put a Magnum of Grey Goose into his jacket pocket. The whole neck of the Grey Goose. He's like, nobody gonna catch us. I was like, bro, we finna go to jail. Like, there's no way.
Fam, I ain't gonna lie to you.
Here's the crazy thing though. We get to the car. He said, I got it. I'm gonna drive. I said, the hell you ain't.
I ain't gonna hold you. I told this story on a podcast like 5 years ago before I worked at ESPN and I had a really good job. So you guys can go back and find that. I'm not gonna tell every detail of this because it's not corporate appropriate. But that same night, Floyd Mayweather, I had a bottle of Grey Goose, had a Magnum bottle of whatever champagne. That wasn't for me because I didn't fuck with champagne back then.
It was
I left
for
the
the other
club.
people who may have been around.
Again, it was $4,000, and I had the promoters in town, blah blah blah. So at the time for that weekend, it was you got to spend $4,000.
Right.
We ain't gonna charge you for the spot. Yeah. Which big weekends normally they're like cool. That's how it usually works. Right. Big weekends they charge you for the spot, and you got to pay whatever fuck you drink or spend.
On top of that.
On top of that. They're like, yo, we'll give you the normal joint. 4,000, you got to hit 4,000. We were literally, the person I was with, shout out my boss at the time, Robert Littell, Black Sports Online, was buying merch. He got a hat from Marquee. He got a sweater.
Right.
Just to get to $4,000.
He was like, y'all got a fur coat?
Because it was like, yo, we paid it. We got to take this with us. So I understand sneaking liquor out.
Look,
we had 3 bottles.
But
you got to do what you got to do.
We're not going to leave this with y'all. We done paid for it. Somehow it's coming out. But
Somebody
it was the fact that the neck of the bottle was coming out his jacket collar.
You got to do what you got to do.
This is bad. That was right after, I think Suge was in there that night. I think my man hollered at him. I don't know. I'm not going to say how it went, but it was crazy.
It probably don't go good.
It was real, 07 Vegas, my experience, 07 Vegas was like anything could pop off at any time.
Anytime. And there's no way to document it.
Yeah.
It just happens.
I remember we went to.
What's crazier, because he mentioned this earlier.
Yeah.
Not to cut y'all off. 07 Vegas, All-Star Weekend.
Freaknik in the early 90s.
Last Freaknik in Atlanta.
The last Freaknik was terrible.
See?
Oh, okay. Freaknik.
But 92, 93 Freaknik changed your life. I wasn't there.
It was crazy.
I had cousins there. I got my older frat brothers.
You went to
there.
Freaknik, though. You've been to a Freaknik.
I caught the last 2 years of Freaknik.
What's crazier in your experience?
Oh, easily NBA All-Star. But if you were to ask my older frat brothers who low-key put together Freaknik and then was there in 92. So I had frat brothers who
because you were in
running
in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay.
They was running Magic City from 90 to 94.
Oh.
Tell
Tell them my wife wants merch. So if you still got connections there.
If you'd have seen me last night, I had on my whole Magic City jacket on last night.
You wore it at the fight.
Bro,
we gotta link off air.
The 18-wheeler trailers.
Yeah.
They done took one of those, put it in the back, cut out the front, put glass, and it's a store now.
Oh,
with all Magic City stuff.
Yeah, it was merch.
So when you come to Atlanta,
I'm actually in
I
Atlanta.
got stories about Magic City.
I'm
you're not
in
even
Atlanta
familiar
on
with.
Friday.
I'll give you my number. So early 2000s,
dangerous.
I spent way too much time in Magic City. So rest in peace, DJ Fernando. He used to DJ there, and I think he used to DJ with, I want to say Jeezy on the road, but that was like my guy, and he wound up, he got killed, whatever. But like we would be in there with him and one of my older frat brothers. We would just have a good time in there. You know what I'm saying? And it's not the same as it was.
Yeah.
Cause maybe it's because I'm old, and if you ask like 20-year-old dudes, they're like, "This is the best thing ever." But when I was 21 to 24, like Magic City was popping. But Freaknik in like 92, 93, I was young then, young-ish. Before college was, I don't know if there's any black experience that topped early 90s Freaknik.
Couldn't be.
I'm not sure if there's any
No.
black experience that tops early 90s.
No. There's not.
We're still chasing that.
That
Like,
nostalgia will
my
never
little
happen again.
cousin just chose Howard. My daughter, who's 15
Mm-hmm.
or 14, she's like, I'm going to HBCU because they put A Different World on Hulu. And like, my oldest daughter doesn't want it. She wants to go to NYU because like she's in love with New York and like going back home. But my middle daughter wants to go to HBCU. My cousin, who's 19, went to Howard in like the dorm situation and shit. Nonetheless, it's crazy. She's there now. But because they like see these things, we're still chasing an early 90s
Yes.
nostalgia of black culture.
It was like, so first of all, HBCUs, beautiful. Like there's nothing. I grew up right outside of Boston, right? I went to school with black people, predominantly white people. And to go to an HBCU where you are not the minority, that's the only time in America as a young black person you're not in the minority. Like, you might grow up in some neighborhoods where you don't meet white people, this and third.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing that I learned, and I don't know where we're going with this, so I'm just talking, but like, I didn't know there was diversity within black men. I was like, oh, we're black men. We're all the same. And then you meet like a Republican black dude and a Jewish black dude. I knew people whose parents had bought islands in the Bahamas. And I was
Yeah.
like, what? And they on some like debating what to name it joint. And I'm like, by the way, like, I don't, like, who do you call? So I do think there's something. When I went to grad school, it was me, my boy who went to FAMU, shout out to Kenny, my homegirl went to Howard, Shamika. Like, we just were like, you could tell, not good or better or worse, but you could tell we were just built different. We were raised different. We had seen it a little different. So how we carried ourselves was just in like a different place. So if your daughter want to go to HBCU, Howard, FAM, my brother-in-law went to FAM, Morehouse, Spelman. I'm partial to Morehouse and Spelman, Clark, Atlanta. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I'm not letting her go to Atlanta. I got family in Atlanta now. I'm like, yo,
Bro.
my college rule is that you can't go to college around family.
So
Like, I want them to go and do their thing. You go somewhat
let
close.
me say this. Shout out to Spelman.
Yeah.
Like, amazing, intelligent, strong, just like you can't say nothing about like just dope people to this day. Friends of mine, one of my closest friends went to Spelman. If your daughter has a chance to go to any HBCU, and what I love is just to shift back to some of the stuff y'all talk about. What Deion's doing at Jackson State is crazy.
Yep.
I used to want, like, I don't know the rules around like what the NCAA is.
Yeah.
I wanted HBCUs to be like, F the NCAA. We're going to start our own group and we're going to pay players.
Yeah.
And we just going to build our own collegiate. Because if you could pay players and they could go to Grambling, Jackson State, Hampton, Howard, like all of these like real football schools and get paid and take all of that income from the Big 12, from the SEC. That same thing with the NFL, with all the crazy. I'm sorry, go ahead, bro.
No, you're good. I would tell you, because I play college football.
Okay.
And I'm not saying like I'm not on some like conspiracy brother shit, right? Like I'm not like going there, but like the truth of it is the reason why it's not like that is because they put HBCUs in football subdivisions, and back then it was D1 AA.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when you're in D1 AA,
You don't get the exposure.
the scholarship amounts are different.
Oh, okay.
D2 can only give half scholarships. D3 can't give scholarships at all.
Right.
D1 AA gives full scholarships, but the amount of money per scholarship is different.
Right.
So when you have kids who are in the hood and everything else and like all this stuff. When you go to a major university, you get FAFSA, you get all this shit. You don't got to take loans out.
But here's my question.
Your scholarship then, they give you enough so you get back 5 G's a semester, and you can give moms 5 G's a semester to pay rent, to pay light bills and everything. Before, they paid everyone. At HBCUs, they didn't. It was enough to cover school, and that's it. So why would a kid go to HBCU? Because they're in subdivision. If they would just put HBCUs on D1, I don't care how you fare. If they give them straight D1 on the same levels of Florida, FSU, and everything, you'd see a huge change in D1. And Deion's, shout out to Deion, like you mentioned, he is now coaching in the realm of NILs. And he can use his fame to get his kids outside money to close that gap. Yeah. Before then, that's why, like, no matter how good you are, Grambling, that's an institution.
Grambling Southern Thanksgiving?
You telling me Grambling can't be the worst school in the ACC or in the SEC? Why? Because they wouldn't allow them, because if you did put them in that conference and you give them the same amount of scholarship, money, and opportunity, they're crushing shit. And everyone's going.
I didn't know that. So I didn't know that, because to me, I'm like, who said they can't give out more scholarships? Like, I don't know the NCAA
There's
rules.
Caps on every level.
Yeah, I guess there's like some federal funding type
like,
stuff.
So they cap it on whatever you're on.
Except the fact that, like, if you took the top 12 HBCUs and said F the NCAA, F the federal government, and you had the resources and the facilities, the revenue they would generate on their own would be enough to cover all of that and get rid of all the schools.
And you can't do that because you can't fund the other programs. If you did it just for basketball and football,
there are other
you're straight.
programs.
But you can't fund women's volleyball, swimming, golf, everything else. You depend on the federal government, so you can't bounce, and they got you by the balls.
I dig it, but I just want, like it's us. Let's bring ourselves home and create a different scenario.
They handicapped us.
Because we're playing by rules. Like, why are we following these rules? Like, let's create our own rules.
The Mountain West Conference, let's just be real. Like, UNLV's in the Mountain West. Yes. San Diego State's in the Mountain West. They get full scholarships. Fresno State, San Diego State get full scholarships. You can't bump the entire HBCU division up to normal D1s.
Because what
and
you
just
do,
see what happens.
So here's the crazy thing, right? So you get these HBCUs, and this is what Deion said recently. He said, I'm not going to let my team play these top schools to get a check because people going to get hurt. Our mental's going to get messed up. And he's not leaving Jackson State, I don't think, for a couple years because his son plays.
I thought he would leave for Florida State
nothing. If you know Deion, he's been coaching his son since
all the way.
So he's like, I don't think he's going anywhere until his son gets out of Jackson State, because it's not even about football to him. It's more about family to him.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But there's a certain point where it's like, how do we create a different, like, I don't want to follow the rules.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I want to understand. I don't understand. But there's these NCAA rules, there's D1 rules, there's all this. But if you took all of the players and created an environment, like look at the NFL. If you could get stadiums and shift it to black ownership, how wild would that? Like, you could change the whole narrative.
Man, I'm just telling you. Like, I don't even need Power 5. I'm not asking for Power 5.
Right.
Give us that entire conference elevated, same scholarships, and just see what happens.
Yeah.
They won't, because now kids aren't going to Bama. They're not going to the SEC.
Right.
When all things are now equal in the cities they want to be in.
Yeah.
You're telling me they want to go in Grambling?
All things being equal, I'm going to Howard, bro.
What?
Have you spent time in D.C. as a young black person?
Florida kids and Georgia kids go to Michigan. They go to Iowa. What?
Why?
Ain't nothing for us there.
You're not coming down to Atlanta? You're not going into somewhere, I mean, if you're going to be in Alabama, but like Howard, Fam, Hampton. Have you ever been to Hampton? Like, beautiful. Like, there's
it
across the board,
system.
We got to start thinking differently and not conform to what's been told.
But they will not let us. Because you could petition tomorrow for that.
We don't have enough to not follow their rules. Because what you need is, you need the black billionaire, 100 millionaire folks to be like, hey, we're going to invest in this. And I honestly think you could change the game.
Yeah.
I might sound crazy. I'm out here with y'all. This is what y'all do. Y'all podcast and y'all. I don't
No,
even
but
know.
that's real.
I'm not even clear why I'm here.
No,
What I'm saying is
different level of boosters, different levels of everything.
Yeah.
Puff would be a booster for Hampton tomorrow if they were D1.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
If they were D1,
Puff went to Howard, bro.
yeah, he would be a booster for Howard
But
tomorrow.
the
if
first
D1,
thing he
and
needs
he'd
to
be
do-
like the guy from Oklahoma State or the guy who owns Nike at Oregon.
Oh, Phil Knight.
Phil Knight,
Yeah.
he'd be that, and it
Yeah.
changed the game.
Here's the thing: where you got to invest, because I think a lot of the kids don't go to schools is because of facilities. So
Yeah.
what you got to do is you got to have a low ROI initially on gyms, weight rooms. Because if you've ever seen Oregon's football
Crazy.
locker room,
Not
it's
fair.
nicer than most NFL locker rooms.
Yep.
Phil Knight's out. So I went to grad school. I ain't gonna talk about me. Phil Knight is good at Oregon,
Yep.
Stanford. The way they do stuff is just different. So if you're a young 18, 19-year-old kid and you're like, wait, there's a barber shop in here. I got this. At Oregon, they got 100 and something variety of uniforms they
Yeah.
can rock.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, hell
Why wouldn't
yeah,
I?
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go to Grambling where I don't have that. But if you had those same resources and
You're straight.
and you're surrounded by an administration, a faculty, and other students who are there for you as a human, not as a football player. Because that's the real difference.
It is.
At Jackson State, those kids aren't revenue drivers. They're young black men who are being developed. And that shit matters, man. And if you can create that environment and drive the revenue the same way, Deion's going to do it because he's getting national games. He's going to increase their revenue. His recruiting class, he's taking recruits from
Top.
He's
Top
got
100
one other than Oklahoma. He's probably got one of the top recruiting classes,
His-
and you know they
He's the
sick.
third recruiting class.
FSU,
Like,
all the
recruiting
alum,
nation.
they done. We don't claim Deion no more.
Yeah.
because you know it's cool when you in your place.
But they will hire him away before they let him change it.
So
I will tell you that.
He's not leaving till his son graduates,
That's fair.
whenever that is.
But I think
After that, he's gonna go coach the Cowboys.
no, but they understand. They understand that he's not leaving until then. But I will tell you,
They're gonna come for him.
they will hire him away
Yeah,
before they let him stay and change things.
that's fair.
And that's a lot of things. We talk pro wrestling here.
Yeah.
We talk all these things. Like you be the best black pro wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
WWE will come and a knocking
Oh, yeah.
if you are
You do what's best for you.
that guy.
The
If
problem
Omos-
is-
if Omos was 7'3" and Andre the Giant on the Indies, they're coming for you,
Here's
and
the
they will make
problem.
an offer you cannot refuse.
Here's the problem. You have to have a group and or a generation that's willing to sacrifice. And
Tough
if
to do.
I'm right, and I'm not saying that's easy, and I'm not even saying you should. You have the opportunity to create generational wealth for your family and say, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go to these schools. I'm gonna play in these leagues and create something different. But it's not to get into it, but that's what Brian Flores did, right? Like
Yeah,
he took his
talked
own
about that on last
personal
show.
We did.
Yep.
he took his personal aspirations and said, you know what, right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't know where that's going to land.
Yeah.
That's not on me to determine. But he knew he was sacrificing himself for an opportunity to change something he thought was wrong. Is it wrong? I'm not here to talk about it.
Yeah.
But you got to, and to be at 18, 19, that's a lot of pressure to put on some kids fresh out of high school.
Yeah.
Like how many of us when we were 18, you say, hey, man, you got an opportunity to go play ball at this school and then get a 7-figure contract or not be on TV, maybe not maybe not be a lottery pick. Like the cat that went to Howard, I don't even know what happened to him. The ball player. He was a basketball player. He went to Howard. I don't know what happened to him. Is he in the league?
No,
yet?
he transferred again.
Where's he at now?
He transferred to D1. They wouldn't let him play, and then he went to the league. He
So-
was in G League, but no, I think he's
but
on
he-
like someone's bench.
But he took a shot. He was like, I'm willing to sacrifice my opportunity. And you're gonna have to have a generation or two of that.
those.
But if I come from certain circumstances and the money, it's like, look, man, I'm be honest with you. I do okay for myself. I done got a good. You put an X amount of money in front of me,
Fam, yeah,
I
it
might just
changes-
tap dance my way to the bank too. You know what I'm saying?
It changes a lot.
But
you know?
see, honest.
So everything, I mean, we'll circle back
Yeah, go
to HBCU culture. But I think we're getting closer to having a generation of people that can sacrifice because now, when we're 80s babies, right? And we came from a culture that was one generation into poverty. It was several generations in poverty,
We're
one
deep
foot
in the
out.
Yeah.
Now it's like between me and him, like I know me, I came out of poverty
Yeah.
and I'm making good money. Like so my daughter doesn't have to live that way.
Grandparents raising us type shit.
Right. But now we're getting in a situation where you can take that risk.
Mm-hmm.
Where if my daughter wants to go to Howard, I can be like, all right. And, you know, and maybe she can change the game. Like, but you need, like you said, you need a whole generation of that.
Yeah.
I mean, Charles Rowland's $40 Million Slave was like, again, one of my favorite books. Rowland always asked, what if the Fab Five went to Howard instead of Michigan?
Yep.
Would have brutalized the game.
Yeah.
It would have turned it upside down.
Well, that's not true because what's his face? A bunch of them went to Houston, 5 Slamma Jamma. Didn't shit like.
Well, no,
and
no,
they
no,
just,
no.
It wasn't HBCU,
Clyde,
but they chose to go a different than SMU.
But you can't have one.
SMU
Yeah.
bought an entire team and
hold
the
up.
greatest player in their nation,
hold
and
up.
they buried them for it.
But if the Fab Five went to Howard and whoever and Grant Hill and them went to Hampton and whoever,
then, yeah,
right
that's what I'm
now,
saying.
now
Yeah.
like you like one
If it
team,
starts a
does it
domino.
change anything? Probably not. But if you all of a sudden take out of the top 50, you
Yeah.
got 30 of them going to HBCUs. You telling me they're not going to put on the ESPN?
No, yeah,
and watch
so
it?
it
You go
starts
with-
a domino effect.
Well,
Yeah.
you go where the money goes,
Yep.
right? So if you stripped all those players, like if you talk about the Fab Five, then you got like the Jerry Stackhouse, you have all of them and they're going to HBCUs and they're playing. You mean to tell me television networks are like, I think we need to televise
And
these games.
You're following. Oregon was nothing 20 years ago. Nothing. Oregon football was zero.
And then
Oregon basketball
Buddy
was zero.
showed up, Kelly.
And he put
Yeah.
the
So
money
Phil Knight
in
put
there.
the money in.
And Oregon women's basketball, men's basketball, football, they put the resources and money. Oh, yeah, you're 100% right.
You remember-
if those
I mean,
people go to
think about it.
HBCUs, the money would flood. But again, I then ask you, what money would flood there? And if it matters. Because, much like hip-hop, right? Hip-hop was whack. Rap is crap.
Right.
Early 90s, right? Rap is now pop culture.
Yeah, it's American culture.
At the top, the money that floods in is predominantly white investors.
Yes.
Does it matter? Because that's what HBCUs would become. We're now just assuming because the kids go to HBCUs that black people at the top would be able to invest and become rich. Phil Knight would then invest in HBCUs.
He
White
wouldn't have
culture
a
would
choice.
then invest. But does that then change stuff for us at the top, or are white people just controlling stuff at the top for
Imagine
black
this.
athletes?
Imagine this. Imagine Zion goes to Grambling.
Yeah, but then Nike
Phil
invests in
Knight
campus.
has to invest in that.
But does that help us at the top level? Because it now just becomes the NFL, where there's 0 black owners and a bunch of black talent.
yeah.
Does it change anything?
So there's layers to it.
I mean,
right?
yeah, go ahead because I know
Because you might get an MJ.
I know where you're going with this.
You might get an MJ who is an owner.
But-
So it could change.
So I think there's layers to it, right? So like who's selling the Denver Broncos?
Yes. Yep.
And in the midst of what's happening right now,
Mm-hmm.
they're talking about the brother he paid off everybody's Morehouse student loans when he
Yeah.
spoke at graduation. You
I know
Oh,
what you're talking
yeah,
about.
Right.
Yep.
So they're talking about maybe he'll be the
Him.
owner.
Yep.
That would be dope.
Yeah, but it's a certain type of black guy because they wouldn't give it a puff when he bid on
Yeah,
the
of course.
Panthers. They would probably wouldn't give it to Jay.
dude, I don't know much about him.
Yeah.
He's a PE VC type
Yeah,
dude.
seems like a good
But
dude.
he was at Morehouse. He paid it. Like,
Yep.
you got to have some people that are willing, because if you look at the NFL owners specifically, that's the smallest fraternity of the richest white men in America.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's. Here's the thing. I actually do diversity training in my world, right?
Yeah.
I don't think everybody's ill-intentioned.
No.
I think there's a lack of awareness. And so the training I do isn't about you're wrong, you're a bad person. It's about, so one of the analogies we use from diversity standpoint, and I probably shouldn't even be talking about this, but it's,
We talk about all this shit on this show.
yeah, but I got to get my IP done so when I
Yeah.
sell this, I can get my money with my partner. But there's an opportunity. We talk about like, you're right, you're wrong, do this, do that, see that. And it's like, hold on, man. Like, let's look at it from like an emotional standpoint. Like, how does this impact you? How does it impact the people that you know? And we live, everybody here, everybody listening to this podcast lives the life through their own eyes. But if you have the ability to say, oh, wait, there's other people who live differently from me. So, for example, one of the things we talk about is like, how important is it to you to get respect when you walk into a store? And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't care about that. And I'm like, well, as a black person, when I was young, I got followed in stores every time I went. So when I go shopping now for clothes, I dress a certain elevated way so that I get us. And they're like, wait, you have to do that? So to be able to expose people to different experiences that aren't naturally your experiences, some people don't care. Some people are just bad people. Like, they're there. Like, we're not going to do nothing with that.
Yeah.
But to be able to say, like, hey, I just have a different experience, and I want you to acknowledge that in my job. When I go to work, I feel differently, right? I look different. I walk. You know how many rooms I've walked in and counted how many other black execs were in the room?
Every day.
Every day.
Women
every
walk
single
into a room. I'm the only female executive here. And if it's never been on your conscience, I'm not even saying you're a bad person. You just never had to think about it. But let's bring that to the forefront of your conscience. So when you walk in the room, you're like, oh, let me support that woman over there, particularly that black woman who are actually known to have less opportunities to get mentors and sponsors and all of that in corporate settings. This is what I do. You're about to get in my world. But like, if I can recognize, oh, wait a minute, it might be harder for her to express her opinion. So let me support her in sharing her opinion, creates an environment where she feels included. That starts to change things, man.
Yeah.
And I believe there's terrible people in America. I don't believe that's the majority of people.
Yep.
I believe if you can start to expose people to different ways of looking at the world, and like, look, I'm Logan from Boston. My parents were educators. I grew up lower middle class, and I see the world the way I see it. I'm biracial, like, right? That's how I see it. I had to come to grips with myself, recognizing as a man, I have certain advantages.
100%.
I was talking to a female friend of mine, and she was like, I want to go for a jog. It was like 9 o'clock, and I said, well, go for a run. She said, I can't. I'm a woman. I can't run. I said, oh, wait. Or like, I don't think twice about calling an Uber and getting an Uber.
Yeah.
So I had this great idea. Uber, if you hear it, you should do it. I think you should have an opportunity to pick the gender of the Uber driver you're looking for.
Yep.
Because as a woman, like, it never occurred to me like you wouldn't feel safe at leaving from Mirage or MGM or
at
Caesars at midnight. But if you can be like, hey, I'd like to pick a woman, maybe that's a certain. But as a man, I've never had to think about that because I just get in whoever's car knowing like y'all ain't finna try me. So I think there's an opportunity for us to take a step back and recognize that our experience is a portion of the experience.
Yeah.
And to the extent that even if I don't know it, so I talk about, I think we need to have more conversations. And I think it's about what I call leading with intent. And be like, hey man, I don't know your experience, and I might say something clumsy. And maybe I'm gonna offend you. I'm not trying to. But I want to understand this better. Like, let's have a real dialogue. Now that I've done that a couple of times, I understand a little bit more about like what it's like to be a woman at 1 a.m. trying to get an Uber home.
And you become less clumsy.
Right. And it gets better. And then when I'm with somebody who's trying to get an Uber at 1 a.m, one of my female friends, one of my homegirls, I'm like, look, I can get in the car with you, or I can do what, or like I can make sure that when you get in the car, I'm tracking your position and your driver knows that.
Let me call the Uber so I could see it on my app.
Right.
So, you can get
So I think there's an opportunity for us to get out of our own, like, this is what the world looks like, because there's so many color, gender, differing abilities, LGBTQ, like all of this stuff, man. Like, we're all just trying to live and enjoy ourselves, man. We just want to have a good experience. So if I can help other people do that, or if other people can be helped in doing that, and if everybody had that mindset, which we're never going to get there in America, let's be clear. But if we can get there, it creates a better experience for all of us. I'm sorry, I'm preaching.
you good. Like that's 100% right.
Well,
like
see, that's what we've talked about.
Yeah.
Like, and I've mentioned this. I don't think you paid attention to this before, but when I on Twitter, I was like, this is important to me. Tell me the first time as a black person that you dealt with racism.
Yeah.
Tell me your story on Twitter. Because there are a bunch of people, and I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for people that are outside of the culture.
Yep.
To be like, I didn't know, like, I didn't come into this world asking to be black. I was told that there was something wrong with who I was.
Yeah.
And I needed people to see that, oh, you're not just mad and angry. You dealt with something that I never thought could happen. So just like the same experience with jogging after midnight, like going into a store while black, driving while black, it doesn't start when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
Because all those stories were in grade school, where teachers telling you couldn't be somebody.
Yep.
It was always an experience where you were told you were different by somebody else. We had to accept who we were because they told us who we were.
And even our parents told us you got to be twice as good
Yes.
To get half
equal.
of it. Yeah, half. But it comes down to, like, when you look at that, and that I love that thread that you did, because that thread, on the outside looking in, be like, oh, that's for black people to share their
It
experiences.
wasn't. I knew what I was doing.
We know these experiences. This is for people who aren't, and so many people. And personally, I don't like the word ally. Like, you're just fucking human, right?
That's the
Like,
worst.
you're just a person,
Yeah.
right? But there's so many people who are like, wow. Like, I want you to not be like, yo, I'm an ally. Like, no, just listen. But so many people, I love the people who were enlightened.
Yeah.
Of like, yeah, I have 2 black friends, and they told me they went through this. But I didn't know 100, 300, 400. Like, and they were like, wow.
Yeah.
And I go through this every day in my life. Like, listen, yeah, I'm black. I'm a black man. I'm mixed race. I'm Puerto Rican. Like, I go to Puerto Rico, and like, outside of Puerto Rico. But I go other places, people like, you speak Spanish and all this stuff, and they're wild. For what? Like, there's dark Spanish people. Like, congrats, by the way.
Right.
But like, I teach people like cool. Like, there's different complexities to me, but I always understand in my head there's other minorities. I'm a minority, but this shit runs way deeper than me, and other people are more hindered than even I am. I'm a mixed race black man. You know what's worse? A mixed race black woman. You know what's probably even harder than that? A mixed race LGBTQ black woman. Like, there are levels to this. So I am still, even in my minority, a privileged minority. Like, so I got to learn about all of them and their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, I have a daughter right now. And she's my daughter, stepdaughter, whatever. She's my daughter who, like, a couple weeks ago, she's not going to kill me. I share everything on this podcast. She started dating a man. She's like, yo, I'm bringing my boyfriend over. Cool. But her boyfriend was born a woman who just now happens to be a man, and she's trans and all this stuff. And she took a month to tell us. I was like, you better not ever again in your life. And I was like, yo, you better not ever again in your life wait a month to tell me anything.
Right.
Because I am 100% for it. Like, I got your back before
Whatever
anything. And I was like, you know what? And I met her boyfriend, came over, like, it was her birthday, went all out for the birthday. She's 19, 22, went all out for the birthday. I was like, yo, that's so dope. Looked on his Facebook, because I'm a dad and I creep. And then her whole Facebook and social media changed in the past month. Like, oh, that's because of this person, for the better. And I was like, yo, you dated this stupid knucklehead who didn't have license plates on his car, and he was, I don't know, smoking weed and black dude, blah, blah. You did all that. And that kid was a weirdo, and I had to watch all your interactions last year. And you dated this person who's, I don't care if they're trans, they're so much better for you.
A better human being.
Than that person.
Yeah.
Why do you ever think you got to wait a month? This person's so much better. I don't care at all.
Right.
I wish you nothing but the best. Listen, we coming over, we cooking in my house. Y'all are good, because this person's way better than whatever stupid ass person you were with before.
And one of my boys, who Dre's know, I'm not going to call out no names on here, his son was just told by a white father, you can't date my daughter because you black.
I've been there.
Which is like, damn, man, like
what?
Like you was, so, you know, I'm old. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, I'm old. I've been around a while. And I'm like, yo, people still dealing with that? Like we ain't got to the point where, and I'm not the rosy-eyed, colored, like, and I love MLK and all that. Like, let us, you know, judge a man. I get that, but that's just not where we are, man. No. And then, I'm not gonna go into all this, but the last several years in this country have gone a certain way, and it's just like,
shows that we talk about this all the time. It was eye-opening, because I mean, Dre's constant vigilance. Shout out to Harry Potter and like all the references. But I wasn't that. I was the opposite of the people will become lax and complacent, and for better or worse, like Barack Obama's president, we got a black president, we got all, like, oh my God, equality's around the corner. And then it was just like, people were waiting and boom,
You know why Trump got elected?
it was
because Obama was president.
president. Yeah, it's the counterbalance.
Like, let's just be honest. They were like, and what's not finna happen
but
is we not gonna have more non-white men presidents.
We gotta shut that down.
But that's fair.
By any means necessary.
Right. They were like, they weren't with it.
The bravery and the, you vote for whoever the fuck you vote for, whatever. The bravery in speaking their idea of moralities is what surprised me. I was completely okay, and this is for better or worse, with closeted racism. Experience that every day. I've been over women's house and dating women, and their parents don't want her to date a black person. You got to talk people into it, or they're perfectly fine when they learn that I know NASCAR and hockey. And,
right. You're like, wait, you're the exception.
You're the good black
one.
The
like he said,
exception
cool.
is.
But I'm used to that.
Right.
And I was like, cool, I'm used to being the exception. I talk anybody into anything. The outlandishness of, they don't got to hide anymore is what shocked me.
Yeah. I love Obama. We weren't ready for Obama as a country. And the pendulum swung so far this way
Say it all the time.
that they were like,
Swung
hey, the
all
pendulum's
the way
coming
back.
all the way back. And you got all, like, because here's the thing about it. Like, you had people who, they would tell you to your face,
Yeah.
I support this. And they would go in the voting booth and support that.
Yeah. Cole, by the way, I know you're looking at me crazy because we were supposed to stop like 40 minutes ago. What we're going to do is, shout out to Keith Thurman. I love boxing and everything else. Fuck it. We're going to talk boxing on Wednesday, so we'll put boxing with MMA and everything else. So people who came to this for combat sports, I'm sorry. I love you, but this is a good conversation. We're just going to keep talking for the next, what do we have? It's 7:07. I have 10 more minutes. I pushed back dinner reservations. I pushed back everything. We have 10 more minutes of this convo, and we'll talk boxing and shit that doesn't matter.
You know what? Wait,
As a
before,
side note,
before you finish,
Keith
before you
Thurman
finish.
was fighting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all right. He didn't look that great anyway. We'll talk about it on Wednesday.
But before you finish, this is probably the most silent I've been on this podcast, but I'm so intrigued by watching my friend from college and my podcast partner talk, and I'm just sitting here like, I'm just gonna let him rock.
Hey man, I feel like I'm just with my boys talking. Like
That's how we
this
do.
is my
Yeah,
first real podcast experience, and I'm just enjoying. But here's the thing, man, and I know y'all got a big audience, whoever y'all talk to, but I guess my lesson is there's people with different experiences, and to the extent that we can hear that and learn from that, and look, none of us are going to be perfect with it, but if I can show you something, if I can so the training, I do a lot of diversity and inclusion training, mostly inclusion, because I think you have to create the right environment before you just start, because if you just start hiring diverse people in the wrong environment, they're going to leave anyway. So how do you create an environment
That's the
where
realest shit ever spoke right there. Boy.
I'll come back. We can talk more about it, what I do. So, but like, honestly, like there's an opportunity because I want to believe most people aren't bad people. But if you've only been exposed to I remember this was probably almost 20 years ago. I was working for, I'll say, a large public accounting firm. And I was on a project. It was this white dude from Minnesota. And he said, you're the first black person I've ever met. And I said, well, what is your impression of, like, where did you get your impression of black people? You start talking about cops and shit like that.
Like TV shit.
Yeah. So I was like, if your impression is TV, which we all know, maybe we don't all know it, but it's flawed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was watching a video of Eddie Murphy. He was on Jay Leno when Boomerang came out.
I remember this. I saw this.
And he was getting a lot of heat. Like, a lot of people are upset because, you had this fairy tale world of all black people, executives in the company. There were no white people in the world. And it was like, what are you talking? Like, that's real world for a lot of people. But because you're not used to seeing that on the screen. So anyway, the screen, the TV, the movies, the media tells us this is who we are. And I don't even know where I'm going anymore. But that's not necessarily who we are. And there's not that like, oh, there's just a normal black executive.
Yeah.
Who's a marketing executive for a company. There aren't there's no black Fortune 500s, but there's black companies who are doing exceedingly well in the world. But because you don't know of them doesn't mean that they don't exist.
So, oddly enough, I mean, again, and I like that Dre just said that before, because we can talk and all this stuff, because I like it. I like our communication aspects. I like that how you go about things right here, right? But I also do, in turn, secretly, I don't put this out there, I like how Dre handles things, because you're silent now, because he handles things differently.
Yes.
Dre does not, and again, I'm not in our career field as long as him. I don't have the security internally that he does. And that's the greatest compliment I can give someone, is that you have the security to be 100% yourself plus some.
Right.
And you do not present things in an inclusive way to our medium, to our career field. You go in it as a combative way.
Yes.
Of I'm going to present this to you to make you uncomfortable. And you then talk me out. And I present things differently. I want to make everyone comfortable environment, and then we can talk. You are completely opposite.
No, and here's why. Because if you go into a situation to appease people, they're not going to be real with you. And you're not going to see exactly how they react to things. So, for instance, when I started doing what I was doing, my goal has always been to diversify spaces, right? When I got into music journalism, I was like, I can't believe there's so many white journalists talking about black culture. This isn't right. You shouldn't be like Vanessa Satin at XXL. I'm just going to put her out there. White woman's run XXL of the year. She was like, I love gangster music. And I'm like, where are you from? You're not from this culture. How are you commenting and talking about these things? And I would challenge her, and I challenge everybody on these things. My goal was to, in boxing, combat sports, I wanted to see more black people in the room. It was just the way it was. Boxing is a minority-dominant sport.
Because there's black people in the ring.
Yeah, it's like all these black people in the ring, but there are white people telling their stories. And their stories all ended up being the same. He came from poverty. He boxed his way out, and now he's rich. That's not every fighter's story.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure I did that. But as time has gone on, from music to boxing to MMA to pro wrestling to society to culture, I'll challenge people. And it's like, let's make you uncomfortable. Because what you think the world is, it's not. And we're going to attack this head on. We're going to ask these questions. Have you met black people? What do you think of black people? Do you know what it's like to be called? Because I come from the other side, was raised by an old Italian mean-ass white woman.
I love Granny.
Yeah, I love Granny.
Me too. Everyone on the show loves her.
But he knew her.
I knew Granny.
He knew my grandmother.
Yeah.
And the thing is that my grandmother always told me I was one of the good ones. I was the good one. I was the exception to the rule. And I was like, you don't know that many black people, do you? To my grandmother. And that made me realize, I was like, wow, if that's my grandmother and she sees me every day, she raised me, and she looked at me and still considered me one of the good ones and didn't want me to date black women, didn't want me to have black friends, I was like, what's the rest of the world like? You got to make them all uncomfortable.
And she loves you.
Loved me to death. But those are the people that say, I don't see color. You do outside of me.
Yeah.
You see me and you was like, I love him because that's what came here.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just like if my next child, God forbid, was born without an arm, I'd love her the same, right? Because that's my child. But the rest of the world would notice that she's missing an arm.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm the mindset of, I'm going to tell you that she's missing an arm. How are you going to react to that? Let's ask these questions. Have you ever dealt with this before? Do you know, like, what to do with this? Do you know how to deal with people of mixed cultures? Do you know how to deal with women? Do you know how to deal with LGBTQ? Do you know how to deal with people with different political aspects? Like, all of those things are to have a conversation. And to bring this back to HBCUs, when I went to Morehouse, what he said is very important. I realized black people aren't a monolith. There's so many different black people in the world that have different viewpoints on things. And I was like, wow, everybody should go to HBCU. Because most black people think that black people are still the same. Like the black people that we grew up with, oh, I'm going to meet these black, then we all vote for Obama. No, you don't. We're all Democrats. No, you're not.
And I'll let you know, not exclusive to black people. I have Asian friends I have Filipino friends, very close. And a lot of them are now second generation, well off, right? You know, family is doctors, nurses, lawyers, whatever. It's like in their culture. I have a Filipino friend whose dad, I won't put his name out there, addicted to drugs. They, every year, would switch apartment complexes in high school, chasing the 1 month free rent. His mom had to work in the hotels as a cleaning lady. how he felt. Thank God now, it took years. He's comfortable. He got his woman, all his shit, finally moved out. He's just now being comfortable with himself because he didn't feel right around other Filipinos.
Yeah.
Because their parents had this ideal, straight A's, go to college, all this. He didn't do any of that. He found his own lane, successful now,
Right.
but didn't do what they did. But in terms of his Filipino community, I'm 32. He felt outcasted for 8 years, 18 years. And I never knew.
We create these own identities within communities that, like, this is what black is. This is what LGBTQ is. And it's not those things. And that's what bothers me. Even like when there's black people that black people don't rock with, and like, you know, I don't want to call nobody out, but, you know, they're out there. I'm like, they're black.
Fade on Jason Whitlock on site. Continue.
But like, yo, that dude's black. He just looks at the world differently, and that's okay. In the same way that, so growing up in a predominantly white community, going to like schools with some black people, I was the only black guy in black. Like, I had this epiphany recently. As a black person, we're very rarely able to be individuals. We speak for a broader group.
Yes.
I was talking to this white guy who was in this class. I was doing this class on inclusive leadership. And he said, I've always been an individual all my life, which I think is part of the problem as we talk to like white people about being part of a broader system where there are groups of people who benefits. They've been individuals so long, it's hard for them to say like, no, I didn't benefit from anything. I'm an individual. Whereas black people in particular, we've always represented a broader, so we can say like, oh, I'm part of this larger community. And I think that's one of the biggest disconnects, because if you talk to people who I don't think are ill-intentioned people who don't have the ability to like associate themselves with a broader group. Like, you've benefited from being the white man. No, I didn't. I'm Mike.
Yeah.
I worked hard. I wasn't benefiting from being a white man because I'm me. Like, no, like you're also a part of a, like if you talk about identity.
That's a fabric though, right? There's African American, there's Asian American, there's Hispanic American.
But different people associate
there's nothing
that
for white.
That's what I'm saying. Like as white people, and I'm half white, but like white people have the opportunity to be individuals in a way that minorities don't have. If you're the one gay person in your high school, when you speak for gay people. When you're the one black person in your class, you don't speak like I'm Logan in my experience. When you're a white person in a predominantly white, particularly a white man,
Black History Month in
you
schools,
speak
in
as
class.
You speak as John, as Michael, as who. But like there's not that same pressure to represent an entire. When I went to grad school, I was in a class. It was the only class I was good at my first quarter, around organizational behavior. So I always wanted to speak because I was like, if I don't pass this class with a high grade, I'm gonna fail out of school. So I'm kind of joking, but I would always. And then one day we talked about racial stuff in class, and the professor would look at me like, and it was the one day I didn't raise my hand, and the professor would be like, Logan, you got something to say? I was like, you didn't call on me every other for the past 2.5 months, but today that we're talking about, now you want to talk to me like I didn't add value when we were just talking about like normal organizational behavior stuff. But now that we're talking about racial stuff, now my voice matters. Like, think about the impact that has on somebody. Like, you're not valuable until we're talking about this very small piece of how we interact in the world. And he wasn't asking me like, Logan, what's your opinion? He was like, I think the black people need to be heard.
Yeah.
Logan, you're the black people. Speak for the black people, Logan. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think he had ill intentions. I don't think he was a bad human being. Maybe he was, but I don't think he was.
Yeah.
But like, again, we see the world through our own lens, our own perspectives. And it's really hard sometimes to recognize like, oh, there's other perspectives. There's other experiences. You and I can go outside right now and see a car accident. And I'd be like, oh, that was that person's fault who was driving the red car. You'd be like, no, that wasn't. That was the blue car fault. And someone else would be like, it wasn't either one of their fault. It was the red light that changed too quick. And everybody believes they know what the reality of that situation is, but we just see it through our own lens. So if you can say, hey, wait a minute, there's a red car version, there's a blue car version, there's a red light version, and now we can actually have a conversation about that. I think that's what expands minds. That's what's changed people. That's, oh, wait, Dre might have saw this differently, not better or worse, because I think we get caught in that, like, right and wrong. I'm right, you're wrong, you're bad for being a white person. Like, no, you're not bad. You just see it through the lens of what you've brought up in. But if I can expose you to a different way of thinking about it, which isn't better or worse, it's just different, oh, hell. I need to take a moment and think that through.
Yeah.
I do this exercise in my training, man, where I don't even want to get on this, but like we expose people to different perspectives. And people, there's one guy in particular, he said, none of this matters to me. We were talking about different, he said, wait a minute, does this not matter to me because my perspective, I've never had to worry about this stuff? And he worked with a black woman. He looked at her and said, wait, do you think about this stuff? And she said, I think about this stuff every day. He said, oh, shit.
Yo, that enlightenment.
I didn't realize this was a real thing for you, caring about the neighborhood you live in, caring about your perception as a parent. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, wow. And he had a moment where, is he perfect now? Does he see everything perfect, quote unquote? Because y'all can't see my handle, quote unquote. But like, now you're willing to have that conversation with somebody who you've built a relationship with.
Yeah.
Who's not necessarily the exception, just another human being that I want to learn from your experience. You know what I'm saying? If y'all let me, I'll talk forever. So
listen, man.
I know we got shit to do.
It's a good convo. Look, listen, we brought you in to talk like crazy All-Star Weekend.
Yeah. How did we get here?
We had like an incredible conversation. Like this is, again, we do what the hell we want. It's our podcast. Thank you everyone for outside listening. We love y'all though. We'll get to boxing, MMA, everything else on a later show on Wednesday. Again, I think this is just natural conversation, right? This is what podcasts should be. As a podcast, we're boxing, pro wrestling, MMA. We're not in a box. People aren't in a box. You go where the conversation lends itself. You look through the lens of that situation. You look through multiple lenses. We do whatever we want. We don't live in boxes. We grow, we elevate. And I think that's what this podcast was for. So thank you for coming through. Shout out to you, Dre. Yeah, this is the most quiet I've ever seen her. I love it. You're poignant. Yeah. Man, hopefully everyone out there, you guys enjoyed it as well. We'll get to all the boxing, MMA, all that on Wednesday. We'll be back to our normal BS and the hot takes and everything's fire. I had to take the belt off. We're having a good conversation. I was like, yo, I can't even be in the gimmick. The belt got to come off. So we appreciate you. Shout out to everyone, Blue Wire Studios, Blue Wire Network. We are here at the Wynn Resort in Las Vegas. If you guys want to come through, you guys can listen to us in the hallway, look through the glass, say what's up, chill, hang out with us. Follow us on social media at Corner Podcast _ on Twitter, at Corner Club for Life on Instagram, at Corner Podcast on TikTok. Shout out to producer Cole Bebe for being our guy on TikTok. I'm going to get listen, I'm not talking to you right now. I'm talking to Logan. Logan, I need to get a video of him at a step show in college. I need that video for TikTok.
I got a picture.
Listen, we got to resurface this for TikTok.
Sure. You got that picture at Hubert Hall when you're standing on the stairs?
On the stairs.
I feel like I just need a collage of Dre in college. Done. So we will get that as well on the TikTok. Less. We appreciate you guys. Again, twice a week we are dropping on YouTube. You can see the visuals from the show, the amazing studio, and follow us on there as well, The Corner Podcast. We appreciate all of you. Stay safe, stay Rona free. We'll be back on Wednesday with Combat Sports. We promise, we think, maybe not. Until then, we're out.
Peace.
On the corner.